Good morning. Hi, everybody. I hope you guys are all doing great this week. I know we're at home again this week. So I kind of wanted to start teaching about something a little bit different, okay? So something that we don't normally learn about as much when we're younger is the word value. Can you say value? Value is spelled V-A-L-U-E. Value is something that shows light to dark, okay? So, for example, my shirt right here is super light, and my shirt on this side looks really dark, but it's the same color, right? It's just a white shirt. So, when we learn about value, we're also talking about shadows and shading and saturation and a whole bunch of other art words, okay? So, it's really important that we learn about it so we can become a great artist and understand how to draw and how to paint and how to make sculptures. And it helps for all of it to know our art vocabulary. So let's get started by starting with our PowerPoint. So I'm going to share my screen with you. Let's see right here. All right. So as you can see, we have value. Value is from light to dark, and as you can see over here, it is dark on the V, gray on the A, medium gray on the L, light gray, and then white. So I'm just showing you a value scale using black. So what is value? Value is when color changes from light to dark. So look at the examples I have. This is the most common value scale using gray, black, and white. So you see I get darker every time or lighter every time. Now we use value a lot when we talk about shadows. Like when you go outside and you see your shadow, it's a different value. So it's really important to think about shadows. So why should we even learn about value, Mrs. Mahan? Well, value helps us understand how to shade, how to make things look more realistic, and helps us understand different colors. Because you can have red, then you can have light red and dark red, or mauve, or burgundy. Those are all shades of red. They're all just different. So we have names for like almost all the colors ever. Especially when you're shopping for paint, like at Home Depot, you can see different values of color. So here's kind of another word that we can talk about is contrast. So some of you know that I love to do photography. And when I do photography, I look for different types of light when I take pictures. Now, high contrast is where you have mostly blacks and whites, not a lot of grays in there. See like this rose right here? It's mostly black and mostly white. And then we have something called low contrast, where it's mostly in the middle of that little scale that I showed you. And it's a lot of different shades of gray, right? So low contrast is a lot of gray. So here is another picture. And I want you to guess, do you think this one is high contrast or low contrast? What do you think? I'm going to say it is very high contrast because I don't see a lot of grays in there. What do you think about this one, this picture? Is this high contrast? Does it have a lot of black and white? Or is it low contrast and have a lot of gray? It's low contrast. Good job. What about this picture? This one's mostly white, so how would you pick that one? Well, this one I would say is more high contrast because it's mostly black and white. All right, so the last kind of vocabulary that we're going to learn about today is called saturation. Can you say saturation? Saturation is kind of a fancy word for adding more color. That's it. So when you have more saturation, like on this graph right here, you get a brighter color. And if you have more value, you get a darker color. So I'm going to turn on my pointer to show you guys. It's this little red dot right here. So here we have almost no saturation and no value when we're at white, right? But the more, think about dots of paint. So the more dots of paint that we add each time, the higher the saturation. So the more dots of black that we add, the darker the value. So we have this dark burgundy, which is a lot of saturation and a lot of black. So this is value, this is saturation, okay? And I know it can be a little confusing and a little hard, but I just want to expose you guys to kind of what we learn about when we're learning about color. All right, so now we can do a little bit of drawing, and I'm going to teach you how to draw lightly and how to draw dark and how to add black and how just to kind of make it super awesome and full of value when you are doing your drawings. Because when you add value to your drawings, you are making it more realistic and more fun and more colorful, and it helps you to express yourself and how you feel when you can make things that you want to make. So I'm going to show you right here. So I have right here my drawing. Now I'm going to show you with a marker, it's kind of hard to draw value, right? So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you using crayons. Okay, so here's my black crayon. Now, if I want to start from dark and then go all the way down to light, this is what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to do a middle gray. So color lightly. See how I'm pressing very lightly? And I'm going over it a couple times to get the color I want. There's a middle gray. Now, I am going to keep going back and forth, but press harder a little bit more. So go over it a little bit and then a little bit. See, I'm going darker every time. And then now, once I get to the top, I should be pressing the hardest, and I should see almost no white in there, no white, okay? Then when I wanna go lighter, I am just going to get, I'm barely pressing my crayon. Lighter and lighter and lighter till it's almost gone. And I'm just going back and forth. It helps if you rest your hand down so you have control. So there is my scale. So there is my value scale. Now you could do the same thing with a color. So I start in the middle with a medium, just a normal amount. Then I can go darker by pressing harder until I have the most saturation. And then I go lighter and lighter until it's gone and it almost doesn't exist anymore. Okay, so there is my saturation. Now, if we want to take this color and make it darker, what I could do is I could add my black on the top and make it a dark burgundy color because I'm adding black to my color. And it's the darkest color you can get, just like that. And then this is where we would add white. But since we're drawing on white paper, we don't really need to do that, right? Because we just did it so lightly. So there is some examples of saturation and value. Now I'm going to flip my paper over. And let's draw a flower with each petal being a different shade. Okay, so when we talk about shade, it's different color every petal. So first I'm just going to start with my normal red flower petal. And this way is going to go lighter and this way is going to go darker, okay? So there is my normal red. So then I color even lighter. And lighter. and the lightest, where I'm barely coloring at all. Okay, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make all of these red also, just like a normal amount. And then I'm gonna add black on top to make it my shade. So this one should be the darkest. So it is almost just the darkest black burgundy, where you can't see any white, best you can. Then this one is the medium darkest. And then this one is a lighter dark, just like that. Ta-da! So there is my value flower. So remember, you can use value with any color or any shade. So for your homework today on Seesaw, first you are going to put the code word, which is value. Remember that, the code word is value. You are going to put that on your Seesaw homework. Then I have like a coloring sheet, but I want you to use the highlighter tool, because when you press it, it gets darker and darker and darker every layer that you do. So I want you guys to practice, just like I did on Seesaw, drawing using value. So some light colors and some dark colors. I have a picture on there by a famous artist named Shepard Fairey. And since this week, a lot of us are learning about the election that's coming up. He is an artist that likes to do art about elections. And so I have some really cool pictures on there of women. And I want you to color them very nicely, no scribble scrabble, by the artist Shepard Fairey, okay? So I want you to do that. And then on the second page, I want you to draw me a picture of anything you can find. Practice using value. I want to see light to dark and dark to light, okay? So that's your homework for today. And I have some other videos for you to watch too. So attached is probably going to be 2 videos about value that are songs. So I'm going to listen to those just because they're fun, okay? And that's it. That's it for today. That's all I have. So I will see you guys next week for my video or on Zoom. I will see you later. Bye, guys.